My name's Aaron Miller. I am the Director of Operations for Iconic Insurance, and what we do is empower individuals and small businesses with high-quality health insurance. And we would love to help you and your family or business with your health insurance.
Hey everyone, this is Vince from Distinct, and today I have with me Aaron Miller, a familiar face to some of you. He is with Iconic Insurance, and we're going to have a good conversation today about his journey getting involved in Iconic Insurance, as well as what Iconic does and how they can help small businesses like you. So welcome to the Small Business Squad, brought to you by Distinct, where we help small business owners achieve more with less hassle. At Distinct, we know how overwhelming it can be to juggle everything. And that's why we offer unlimited website support, professional videography and photography, and back office assistance through our dedicated team of remote experts. We're here to give you back your time to focus on what matters most, growing your business. Let us handle the details so you can handle success. Aaron, how you doing?
No, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's good to see you. We got to get together here in Greencastle again soon, but for now, this will do.
Yep. Will I see you at Monon?
I will be at the Monon Bell game.
Perfect.
Well, did you get a ticket, though?
I did not get a ticket.
Okay.
No, I felt bad stealing the Wabash fan tickets, and
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to wear Wabash gear into the game just to sneak over to the DePaul side. So
That's fair.
we're gonna try and scalp some. I'll get one of the "I need ticket" signs and just wear it on myself.
It'll work. If anyone's watching this and going to the game or not going to the game,
Yeah,
let us know. We need that ticket.
I need 2 tickets.
We need
So
2 tickets.
yes,
We'll find them. Now we have to get this published before the game. It should be out way before the game.
perfect.
Honestly, let's start with kind of your journey to your current role and then talk about your current role and what you're doing.
Yeah, so DePaul grad 2019, was in the Management Fellows program. Through that, got an internship with a startup called Double Map in Indianapolis, which is where I ended up staying after school. I liked it a lot. And, that kind of intro into startups really got me interested in, everything about how to start a business, how to run a business, how to grow a business. And so, after school, I knew I wanted to start my own thing, but didn't have the right partner at the moment. And so, I was familiar with High Alpha and said I have to be, at one of their companies. So ended up getting a job at Sigster. They actually were bought by Terminus on my first day. And so I show up to a team of 50 selling one product to now it's champagne, and we have a 250 person team and selling a much larger suite of products.
Yeah.
Not to mention, this was at the very end of 2019. So we all know that, living 5 minutes from work is no longer important because we're all working from home, 3 months later. So
Yep.
Tough to be a remote salesperson without having a team, in person to help you out. And so that job was relatively short-lived, but loved the culture that they had there and learned a lot about the branding and marketing side of things. Went on to start my own tech startup that was basically designed to help people find out what's going on around them. So just elevator pitch, followings are great for large brands and people who want to go viral. But if you're on Instagram, your followers could be anywhere, and there's going to be people in your area that don't follow you. And so really who you should want to reach are the people around you looking for your specific offering, right? Specifically for brick and mortars.
Right.
And so it was really geared around helping people, reach the right audience at the right time. Did that for about a year and a half, and then funding runs out. You have other ideas for the product, but you don't have enough in the tank to really build it out. So that ends up kind of falling by the wayside, and joined Distinct for, I believe it was just under a year, where we worked to see if it was a few scalable models out there, specifically for the helping businesses maintain and run their website, so that way they could keep their clients up to date and keep giving that quality experience. So we did that for about a year. Joined another tech startup that was about a year. So we've been really through the gambit of just, or through the gauntlet rather, of just tech startups and wanting to get into a business that has a scalable model. And so, funny enough, when I was with Vince, I needed health insurance. I turned 26, and we were going to do something called a stipend model, where he paid, let's say $200, and I went to go find health insurance on my own. Um, I got introduced to Matt Allen of Iconic Insurance through that process, and he got me set up. 2 years later, I end up, reconnecting with him, and turns out he wants to grow his business, and I have some of the skill sets he's looking for. So that way, we really just, it was a 15-minute conversation that turned into 2 hours, and now it's been 8 months, and we've added on 2 more team members. Really looking to grow the thing and help a ton of people with what is considered to be a pretty complex subject. So excited to do that.
I love the story, the kind of sub story of like the relationships you build and maintain, and kind of how those lead you on this journey. I also really like the variety of businesses you've been involved with. Even though the one company was bought on the first day, you didn't really expect to join that much larger company.
Right.
But what has it been like working in so many different areas and experiences in such just a few years in your young career?
I have worked with a lot of small businesses, and I've worked with larger companies, larger organizations, and specifically selling and working and partnering with those organizations, and just finding where interests lie and where value can be had is so different from a large company who you're selling a $40,000 product to a minor league baseball team that you're helping engage with their fans, to the pizza joint on the corner, right, that really just wants to sell you a slice on Thursday when they have a deal going on.
Sure.
So it's really been interesting to find where value can be derived and what people will respond to. I found that to be really interesting, just as well as it's really hard to sell a product that people don't already use and buy every day.
Mm-hmm.
Websites were great because people already have a website, right? They do want to keep their website updated. They already have paid for something on their website. As far as like a sports tech startup, or as far as Spoke Locally went with engaging the local audience, you're selling people on something that doesn't exist at the moment.
Right.
And that's just a whole nother can of worms. And so it's been refreshing to be in health insurance, an area where I thought I'd never be, but selling something, and not even selling, just advising people on something that they truly need.
Right.
And the great part of the business that I had no idea is people don't pay us for our service. The price of a health insurance advisor is baked into the cost of your health insurance premium. So what you pay on a monthly basis, whether you use an advisor or not.
Right.
So, I mean, we're just giving people better value, and they don't have to do much other than receive that value, which has been super refreshing.
I think that's a really important reason, a big reason why I wanted to have you on. Traditionally, we talk to the business owners in the trenches kind of while they're starting or once they're established. But I think a lot of those people could really benefit from understanding your industry. And if you were to cold call them, they probably aren't going to answer, but they might be listening to this. And I think it's really important to kind of talk through that process of, maybe starting with the stipend model, which I think is really a relevant and useful model for a lot of small businesses. But then just talk about the kind of gambit of having an advisor. Because I think a lot of people either come from a full-time job where they may lose their insurance, or maybe they're on a spouse's insurance like I am, or they might just hear about the Affordable Care Act and the marketplace and hear horror stories on there. So why don't you talk a little bit about how small businesses can take advantage of your services?
Yeah. So we talk to a lot of small businesses. And the thing that we constantly hear is, oh, I got a quote and it was so expensive that, it's just not a reasonable thing for me to think about. And what those people most likely looked at was a fully priced plan from something like Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield. So fully funded. Essentially, they're guaranteed to give you a quote, which a lot of people like. There's no underwriting involved, but they don't really want to sell those products to smaller businesses. Those types of fully funded plans are really meant for people who have 50 plus employees. And so, a lot of small business owners think that's the only option. And this is really the main crux of the problem is people don't realize there are options out there, and it is customizable to you and your situation. I talked to a group of financial advisors the other day, and they didn't realize there were things outside of the marketplace out there, like private health insurance does exist.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure if it's something that I ever thought about before joining health insurance, before joining Iconic. But so we have that fully funded plan, which a lot of people are familiar with. And then we have level funded, which is underwritten. So they actually come in and take a census of your workforce and figure out what a good price is depending on what the general health and wellness is of the families. A little bit better for smaller teams, but as Vince kind of alluded to, there is another option, the stipend model. And so this is really for teams of under 50, it could be 2, could be 10, just anything under 50. And you essentially get to offer your employees a monthly stipend. So just increasing their pay, let's call it $200 a month.
Is there a minimum stipend you have to give?
There's no minimum. There's no maximum.
Okay.
I wouldn't imagine you would want to pay them more than their health insurance costs.
Sure.
But I think, $200 goes a long way when it comes to health insurance.
Right.
And then what you do with this stipend model is you partner with a health insurance advisor like Iconic Insurance. And we then meet with each of your employees and their families individually and get them on the plan that works right for them. So you're able to offer a benefit, right? Essentially just increasing their pay and providing them with the resource to get their own health insurance. And that $200, we have software to make sure that $200 is actually going towards the thing that you're hoping it does, the health insurance. And so, really what this allows for is people to get a plan that's customized to their needs. It allows for complete price flexibility when it comes to the business owner, which is a huge thing. They may have, 20 employees, let's say it's a landscaping company. And out of those 20 employees, 10, they want to offer a benefit to. They can actually do this stipend model and not offer it to everybody if they just have some summer employees, right, that join them to mow grass.
Yeah.
And so it's really a way for them to keep the employees that they have invested significant time and energy into, as well as just provide a benefit that everyone's looking for.
Yeah.
And so it's really just a good way to maybe get an intro into offering benefits to your employees, as well as very customizable. So there's a lot of nuance there, but it's essentially give your employees more money and give them a resource to find their own health insurance.
Absolutely.
And we make sure that they use that money appropriately.
I see it as a win-win, right? You as the business owner can be more competitive in the marketplace when you're trying to recruit employees, while also taking care of your employees in a way that I think a lot of businesses want to do, just don't think they can. So you get healthier employees who have healthcare, who are taking care of themselves. You can use that as a recruiting tool in a very tight labor market. I think it's a no-brainer. I do have a question. You mentioned the 3 models.
Yes.
Are there any limits as far as, let's say I'm a small business of 1 person, just me, or me plus 1 employee? What are the limits for all 3 categories?
So there really are no limits. So if you're a solopreneur, one-man show, it doesn't make sense to get quote unquote group plan because the group is just you. Mm-hmm. That's the same thing. It goes for the same thing if it's just you and your spouse. So you can't get a group plan if it's just a couple that's working in the business.
Right.
You have at least one other person to call it a group plan, and that can't be your spouse. Um, Outside of those limits, I mean, it's really wide open. I mean, you
Yeah.
can. I believe there's a limit to when you have to offer health insurance to your employees. Once you
Sure.
have 50 W-2s, like
Right.
you're legally responsible for their health insurance. Um, but outside of that, I mean, it's pretty flexible.
Yeah. That's great. So if you're at 50 W-2s, can you do the stipend, or do you have to do a group plan at that point?
That's actually a good question. I don't know.
Okay. Cool. You'll get back to us on that one. That's fine.
Well, yeah, we'll figure that one out.
Yeah.
I believe the stipend model would still work because there is a way to track that you are offering them health insurance.
Sure.
But at that point, it might be you're most likely better off to go with a level funded or fully funded plan just
Yeah.
because of uh, the discounts for sheer size.
Right.
So
That makes sense. So what sets Iconic apart from other people in your industry?
yeah, I think it's really our approach to our clients. So from what I've understood from the market itself, a lot of people may have gone through an agent, but they feel like they're a client of Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, or they're a client of Cigna, and they call Cigna or Anthem when they have a problem. And that's not the way that we view our role in this whole market. We really think of all the people who sign up through us as Iconic clients.
Right.
We want them to come back to us and have a great experience. And if their situation changes and they need to adjust their plan, they're going to come back to us and we're going to adjust accordingly. It might be a different company or a different product, but we want to be the last health insurance company that anyone ever has to work with.
Yeah. That
And
totally
so,
makes sense.
yeah, we've hired a client success manager, Quentin, great guy. He actually has his health insurance license, so he's able to sell. He knows the products really well. He has a history of client success, and so he's helping people make sure their claims are pushed through, make sure people know the right places to go get tests and blood work done. And then there's just all these little small things, like some plans even come with stipends for you to go and join a gym.
Yeah.
And if you don't know that, you're probably wasting money on a gym membership.
Yeah.
And so he's just doing all the small things to really help empower these people with the plans that we signed them up for.
Yeah. That's great. So Dave Bittner from the Indiana Small Business Development Commission just jumped on. Dave, welcome to the call.
Thank you for having me. Sorry I ran late. Appreciate being here.
How you doing?
You're totally fine. We're glad to have you here. I was just asking about Iconic and what makes them different, but I want to ask a question more specifically about kind of lessons you've learned while you've been at Iconic. Have you made any mistakes, or maybe not even a mistake, but explored an area and learned something that you didn't know coming into this industry?
Yeah, absolutely. At the beginning, I was thinking, oh, we're going to market on social media, right? And we're going to get so many people. We're licensed in over 25 states. I think it might actually be just 25. And I was like, we'll spread out the love and try and find some people who are retiring before or retiring early, because those are people that we help all the time when they're in that transition. And while we got a lot of people hitting the link and we got their information, the number of conversions was almost zero. I think we had one conversation with one person, even though we had hundreds of submissions of this form.
Yeah.
And I think it really comes down to insurance is a business of relationships. No one's buying insurance because they saw a flyer online, right? They ask their neighbor, hey, who helped you out? They ask their certified financial planner. They ask their business coach, their HR rep, right? It's a relational business. And that's really where we focused our efforts since that realization. And Matt, the founder of Iconic, really, I think he had a hunch on that, but he wanted me to learn it for my own. And so I just went wild on ads for a month there. But no, it's a great lesson because you know, you think about ads, you have to pay for each one of the, incoming, potential pieces of business.
Mm-hmm.
A relationship, if it's good and quality and they have the people coming to them with the question, hey, who should I go to for my health insurance? That's going to be a relationship that's fruitful, for as long as you have it.
Yeah.
And so that's really where we focused our efforts. We actually hired a relationship manager. Her name is Victoria, and her sole job is to help certified financial planners with their clients. So if they're small businesses, if they're self-employed, maybe they're retiring before they turn 65. Those are just ways in which we help the CFPs, the certified financial planners, provide a better service to their clients. Because
Mm-hmm.
in those transitions, people really do have the question of, what do I do for my health insurance?
Right.
So, we really leaned into that relational aspect of the business. And, even now I'm reaching out to, HR professionals. Hey, you have people retiring. Do you have a resource for those people to find health insurance during this transition? Because Cobra might be too expensive for them. Or, business coaches want to have a more holistic, offering to their clients. We want to make sure that they are able to say, hey, if you have health insurance questions, go to these people. Even if you're doing the right things, they're going to tell you. But if you're not, they're going to give you those other options.
Yeah.
So it's really just being helpful and providing value where we can.
Absolutely.
So Aaron, that's that referral model. I'm sure you get clients other ways, but that referral model clearly is important. I completely agree with that. But you still only get that one first impression, right? So someone says, okay, Joe Smith, give Joe Smith a call. He's waiting for your call, and he's real interested in what you have to say. A lot of your offering is unique until people are educated on it. They don't understand that. What do you lean on? Maybe it's a personality type you have, a characteristic of your a trait of yourself that you lean on to get that first impression to say, okay, I'm going to give this guy another half an hour to an hour.
Yeah, I think it's really leading with value. It's never what you can do for me; it's what I can do for you, and it's offering that. We have newsletters, we have one pagers, we have things that just educate people on what the options are. Because I think that's the biggest mystery about health insurance is like, okay, there's more than one option. Great. I don't know what those options are. I don't know how to even learn about it. I don't know, when it's right for me or when it's not. And so telling, these referral partners, hey, here are the options that your clients actually have. And if, you see them ask this question or, they start hiring more people, they're no longer a solopreneur. Like these are situations that you can now lean in and say, hey, I'd like to provide some value here if I can. Here are the options. Here's the guy to talk to. So it's really just leading with value in everything we do, everything from socials to cold outreach to, we're actually going to a conference next week. We're putting just value on the table. That's all we really bring.
Yeah, I like that because really then it becomes personal to them at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's about building trust,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, people, if they're trusting you with their clients, I mean, that's the biggest vote of trust that is out there, right? Because, I mean, especially for certified financial planners, like these people trust me with all of their money, and now I'm trusting you to handle them the way I would.
Yeah.
And so, it's kind of a ramp, right? I mean, you just don't expect them to, go through their list of 70 people in their portfolio and send you all the ones that you think they can help, right? It's
sure.
Hey, here's a soft intro. Here's a form that you can fill out on their behalf and see what the quote looks like. It's all those things that help build that trust, so that eventually they can just send out our client link and people can fill it out on their own. So
yeah. The way you're describing that reminds me of I just finished Simon Sinek's book, The Infinite Game,
Mm.
and it talks a lot about kind of giving that the value, right? And just when you put the value first and you put your core principles first, the rest follows. And how a lot of companies, especially in times of times where they're struggling, the first thing they'll do is cut that value and start to find ways to cut corners and worry about money before the value. So it's good to hear that you all are putting that value first, leading with that in first impression, and then continuing that, and not just dumping it off once you have the healthcare up and running. So that's really good to hear. I want to ask you a question about burnout. You've been in different situations throughout your career. You're in an up and coming, growing company where you're probably learning a lot and you're growing every day. What do you do to avoid being burnt out?
I love vacations. I love weekend vacations, right? I like hiking. I like being outside. Just really finding ways to blow off steam, honestly. I mean, for me, that's being active. It's always been that. I think talking with people, maintaining personal relationships, familial relationships. I mean, it's all just, what can you do to make stuff outside work more solid?
Yeah.
And I think having that, backbone to lean on really makes work that much more enjoyable, because you can actually focus on the things that you have to focus on that day. So for me, it's being reasonable with my expectations, I think is huge. Trust me, I love thinking 20 steps ahead, but it never turns out like that if you don't focus on the one in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely learned that over my, I guess, 5 startups now, whatever it's been.
Yeah.
And so, for me, it's delegating where I can. People, obviously you want to surround yourself with people who are very capable. And if I think something can be done and they'll be good at it, I'm going to send it their way. Right. And I think that also helps me get more, pushed in the right direction.
Yeah.
Especially as, operations, that's just a fancy word for everything. And, for me, it's trying to find the things that are going to have the highest leverage, ways that I can use each person's talents to the best of their abilities. So
Sure.
Simplifying things in those terms has really helped me out a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. What's a hidden gem someone should explore if they're looking, if they unwind and avoid burnout like you?
Yeah, I think I went to Turkey Run for the first time this weekend, and I loved it there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I spent 4 or 5 hours just hiking, and it was a solo adventure, but I mean, the fall colors were great. I think it's just a great way to go. I also think kayaking is totally undervalued.
Yeah.
Just take a kayak up river and then let it float you down.
I did a kayaking trip last summer, Lake Monroe. We kayaked out to the peninsula and then camped one night on the peninsula. And man, it was beautiful. It was incredible. I think I like kayaking more than hiking, though, or at least more than backpacking.
Yeah, backpacking can be rough.
Yeah.
I did my first real backpacking this year. Did a 4-day, 3-night canoeing trip up in the boundary waters of Minnesota. So completely off grid. You canoe 30 miles, stay at a couple campsites. That was intense.
Yeah.
And then Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park, kind of like southwest Colorado. Great fly fishing down there. I mean, the hike down was essentially an Empire State Building straight down.
Oh, geez.
With 50 pounds on your back. And, it's you're not getting back up right away once you go down. Let's put it that way. You're a little sick. You have to wait a few days to recuperate. But, yeah, it's been interesting to get more off grid.
Yeah.
Makes me appreciate on grid a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And off grid a little bit more.
That's fair.
So you mentioned 5 startups, and you guys probably talked about this earlier, but so from those 5 startups, you probably each one, or at least a combination, turned you into a type of style either as a leader or a type of style of how you interact with people. So I'll kind of leave it up to you, but to define. But what's a takeaway that now became in your DNA as a business person, that from those 5 startups, something hit you and you said, you know what, that made me better, and this is who I am going forward.
Yeah, I think whenever you're getting into business with someone, especially in a smaller group, so I guess first one was an internship, 25 people. Second one, job, called 50 people in our office. Second one, or third one, 3 people. Fourth one, 3 people. Fifth one, 3 people.
Mm.
And now the one I'm with now is 4 people. You always want to find yourself in rooms with people who are much more intelligent than yourself, or at least they have areas that you don't have, that they excel at. And I found that just by doing that, you find so many lessons and you work so much closer with people and you just put more on your plate. I think it's important at any job, but specifically in a startup, to play a game of figure it out. That is, I say it way too much, but I can't stop saying it because it just makes so much sense. Like, if something needs to happen and you need to figure it out, I mean, you got to play a game of figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And the more you expose yourself to and the more you learn and explore, the more you're going to be able to figure out. And so I think it's the, whatever you want to call, can-do attitude. And it's the belief that, things are out there that we don't currently have, but we're going to get there, and we're going to get there because we're going to figure it out. So just that attitude piece is huge, and putting in effort so that especially in a small team, it's contagious and people feel that effort. They go a little bit harder, when they feel you doing it too.
Yeah, when you were saying that's what hit me, is it makes the final outcome that much sweeter. Because everybody at some point would want to throw in the towel, or this is going nowhere. And then if the team, or you in particular, kind of keeps them going, and then you figure it out, and good things happen, that's the beauty of not just teamwork, but in business, that you really gut it out and you get so much better. That's great. That's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great question. Appreciate you.
Is there anyone either in person or someone you haven't even met who you look up to in business and kind of try to learn from?
I think it's my first boss, Ilya Rector. He was the CEO of Double Map, who they ended up selling to Ford. And when I was, I was 19 or 20. I was probably 19. I was in Indianapolis, working for the first time at a real job. I only worked really landscaping before that, and I had ideas. I was entrepreneurial, and Ilya kind of took me under his wing and showed me what he did to turn Double Map into a college idea to a real business that's going to have buyers like Ford, right?
Yeah.
Well.
And just the get started attitude from him was all I needed to really get started. People talk and people have ideas, but until you talk to someone about it, or you pay someone money to make a wireframe, or even put a form out there to even get people's feedback, nothing's going to happen. And so that gets started. Mindset is so big. And he sold Double Map, and now he's runs a company called Megawatt and rents out space in. So he basically has these big, I don't even know what you want to call it. He takes areas where power is available, right? So small towns that maybe were their power grid, but never actually got the population to handle all the power that they had. And he puts these big, shipping containers with spots for Bitcoin miners, and he sells those spots to people. And as assuming you guys are relatively familiar with Bitcoin events, I know you are. But essentially, it's Bitcoin mining operations that help small towns, because now they're a huge taxpayer in that town because they use so much energy and there is so much investment in these shipping containers. And also investing in a cryptocurrency that he sees a future in. And I met with him the other day, and I guess it's been a month or two. But the thing I love most about what he said is, this is something I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Huh.
And I think that's just so powerful to hear someone find that thing that, fills their cup every day.
Yeah.
And I don't think tracking buses was the thing that filled his cup every day with Double Map. Tracking public buses is a necessary thing to do, and people bought it because it is necessary. But clearly, this new business that he's in is something that's hitting him hard and driving him to be the best person and human he can be. So I just appreciate people who work hard to find that.
That's really cool. I was familiar with Double Map. I had a friend that worked there at the time. I think you and I have talked about this, but I had not kept up with what he's been doing since the sale. So that's really cool.
Yeah, he's a beast. He's a hacker. He's going to find a way to figure it out. He always does.
Yep, that's a good skill. It's a good skill to have. Clearly, it's working out really well for him.
Yes, indeed.
Dave, we got time for probably about one more question. Do you have one?
I'll throw one more out there. And again, if you guys talked about this earlier, I apologize. But so, Aaron, are you more of as a leader, as an entrepreneur, are you more of a linear thinker guy, or the pie in the sky idea, and I'm 50% of the way there and I'm going to get after it and hope for the best? Or kind of what drives you? I'm always interested in this.
I have a Notion board on my computer with way too many ideas on it.
Yeah.
I had to get a lot, I like to think about stuff too much. And so I had to have a place to just store it all, because I can't keep thinking about things, or else I get too pie in the sky and, the kite has no string. Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, ideally I'd like to be in a place where I can just switch it on and off, be the integrator where I need to be and be the visionary where I need to be. I'm not going to say I'm there yet, but I think I'm getting better, and just some of the disciplined things of, let's put everything out onto a note sheet, put it into ChatGPT and say, hey, what needs to be done first? Right.
Awesome.
And that seems to be, helpful, especially because I just need to prioritize the things that need to get done. And that's the integrator stuff. And if that stuff gets done, more visionary stuff gets to get done. So, but I'm lucky to have business partners like Matt, Quentin, and Victoria. They really are good at both sides, seeing where we're going and seeing what we need to do today. So they're incredible.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
I love those EOS buzzwords you're throwing in there.
Oh yeah, what's that? Is that rocket fuel?
Yeah, traction and rocket fuel.
Yeah.
Yep. Great books from Gino Wickman, Wickman. If anyone's looking for some ways to fuel their business. Clearly, are you guys using EOS right now, or is that just something you kind of you think through?
We like to think through just like ways to operate better. We're not currently implementing EOS, but definitely, these books, they ask the right questions. And so if we can integrate those principles into our current strategy, I think we're going to be better off.
Absolutely. So we like to finish with two questions. I'll start with the easy one. Who's a small business owner or leader that you think we should have on this podcast next?
Ooh, great question. Mel McCone.
Mel McCone.
I believe that's her last name. Let me triple check I'm saying her last name right.
Sure.
But she runs a company called Indiana Owned.
Oh, right. Yeah. I don't know why that didn't click earlier.
Yeah. So she just does a great job of supporting local business owners. She's got big plans for her online store, specifically around the holidays.
Yeah.
She helps small businesses get more visibility, create a community around, working to grow your business. Actually just reach out to her because we've been joining some chambers, and
nice.
Indiana Owned, while not a chamber, I think is a great organization that we're looking to join. So I think she's great.
I'll have to have you reconnect us so we can get her on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now we like to do a little rapid fire Q&A. I'm going to set up a timer here for 60 seconds. And I just got some questions for you. And they're pretty easy. But I want you to answer as quickly as you can. What was that?
You want one word answers? What do you want?
As quickly as you can. Some of them are one word, but we want to get through as many as possible. All right?
All right, 60 seconds.
Yep. You ready?
Let's do it.
You sure? You need some water or something before? I don't want you to get caught up.
What's the most amount of questions someone's answered in 60 seconds?
It's not a very good question. Or it's a really good question, but I don't have a good answer. Probably like 10 or 15.
I love a competitor.
Yeah.
15. Okay.
I think you can get through 30.
Let's do it.
I don't know if I have 30. Let's see what we can do. All right. Ready?
Let's do it.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Favorite business tool or app?
ChatGPT.
One word to describe your leadership style.
Hands-on.
How do you relax?
Golf, even though it's not relaxing.
Favorite social media platform for businesses?
LinkedIn.
One book every business owner should read?
Good to great.
Last thing you Googled?
Great by choice. Great by choice.
Last thing you Googled?
Canva.
Most productive time of day?
When you're with people.
One thing you can't work without?
Computer.
Favorite way to start the day?
Coffee.
Best piece of advice you've ever received?
Get started.
Most important trait in a team member?
Smarter than you.
Email or phone call?
Phone call. FaceTime, actually.
Guilty pleasure snack?
Give me chips and hummus.
Chips and hummus, and that is time.
That's
you
15.
You are our record holder so far.
Did you keep track?
I think we have more time.
That was great.
Aaron, were you keeping track?
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's my man.
I had a timer set for 1 minute.
All right.
Well, Aaron, it was great to have you on. Great to talk with you as always. For those who are watching maybe just this clip, what's the best way to reach out to you or your team at Iconic?
Yeah, you can find us at iconicinsurance.com. That's iconic-insurance.com. You can find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all those good things. We put some great stories out there on YouTube of people that we help in the situation that they were in. So you can find us Iconic Insurance on YouTube. And yeah, you can hit my email too. It's aaron@iconicinsurance.com. We'd be happy to help your business. If you're a business coach or an HR person or a certified financial planner, we'd love to talk and see if there's ways we can help your clients. So
awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thanks again for being on. Dave Bittner with the Indiana Small Business Development Commission. Thank you again for being here.
Thanks, Dave.
And until next time.